go. Now. Oh, yeah. Almost on time this time. Why? Because we're doing times now. We haven't done times now, but since this live podcast is recorded live, well, it's a good thing to be there live at the same time every single day. That way people can actually tune in the live format. So make it easy to join. Okay, let me refresh this. Bam! Because we are everywhere on every social media. Okay, not everywhere. We're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. We are on YouTube, of course, because this is where this podcast is happening. Just refreshed it. I can see my face now. I can see clearly now. My face is there on the podcast. Oh, yeah. Because it's not just a podcast, it's also a YouTube video. Yeah. It's all happening. I refreshed it and then I see it. Super mega cool. There we go. What would make you buy an electric vehicle? A lot of people here listening to this podcast actually do not own an electric vehicle yet. They may be lurking, they may be thinking about it, or maybe, just maybe, well, they're unsure. They didn't even know it was a possibility. Because of all these reasons, today's subject is going to be what would make you buy an EV if you don't already own an EV, if you have actually made the move, yeah, you've decided to trust the electricity. Make sure that you tell us why you decided to actually buy an electric vehicle. What made you do this jump? Yeah, for some it's big, for some it's huge. I mean, if you did it back in the day, we're talking like 2012. We're talking early 2010 type of thing. Well, you were really an early adopter. You were really somebody who actually was before a lot of people. Now, some other people decided to do it a bit later. So there is such a thing as early adopters. There's also such a thing as people who will, wait a little bit for everybody to kind of test it out and then still be early in the adoption of an electric vehicle or any kind of new technology, but not as early as the prior people. And then, there's the mass. The mass, it always takes a lot longer for the mass to really follow all of these things. Now, could you say that the mass has gone EV? Not yet, especially not in Canada or in the United States of America. Now, I have seen this video on YouTube by CNBC, who did say that in Norway, 85% of people are actually driving electric vehicles, meaning the majority of people over there are driving electric. I know this is crazy. That means that actually, in some countries in the world, some EVs are majority, but not right now here in Canada. So why would you buy an EV? What would make you go to the EV world? Let's dive right into this. I'm Piper, and you're listening to While You Wait, the podcast that aims to entertain and educate you on everything and anything electric vehicle related while you wait to charge your electric vehicle at a charging station, or in your very own home, or while you wait for your wife, because that can take a lot longer than charging your EV, if you know what I mean. The thing is, there is a lot of people who actually think that EV might not be a good idea. And I'm not one of these people, so I can't really tell you all about that. But if you are one of these people, make sure that you drop a comment. Why would it be not a good idea to purchase an EV? There is more infrastructure, there is more actual models, more companies that are doing EVs, you're having more choices. So we'll go over all of these talking points in this podcast, so don't go anywhere. Now, the first point would definitely be that there is more choices according to gas cars. Gas cars have been around for a longer time, meaning, there are just more gas cars to choose from. And when I say more gas cars, I don't just mean Ford, GM, Jeep and all of the models of gas cars, all of these brands of gas cars. I also mean the models, meaning that you have 2-seaters, 4-seaters, 7-seaters. You have all of this availability, plus that creates a lot of competitivity. Meaning that, well, all of these brands, they compete with each other, trying to give you more features at better prices so that you can choose the right vehicle for you and your family, or while you're you single serving you, or anything like that. That makes it possible for us to choose more wisely, but also, well, welcome to capitalism, people. Welcome to capitalism. That being said, it's not because gas vehicles have more choices that they're definitely gonna be the best choices for some of us. And that's where this comes into play. The fact that some of us are actually more tech savvy. Some of us actually prefer to be updated on technology. So an EV or a newer vehicle in general will bring them a lot more software updates, a lot more early adoption, like testing out the full self-drive, and things like that that are available on electric vehicles. So if you're not one of these persons that is like freaking out too much on these updates, well, don't worry. There's a lot of other things we're going to talk about on here. Maybe you are one of these people that has actually, well, have been with the same brand of vehicle for your whole entire life. And when you were born, or when you were of age to become a driver, got your driver's license, were in high school, woohoo, yeah, super cool. Well, you realized that you wanted to buy that brand, and you've been with that brand since then. Let's say you had a Volkswagen. Well, maybe, just maybe, you've never had other cars than an actual Volkswagen. Maybe Volkswagen has stole your heart. You love this so much that there's no other cars that's just gonna do it for you. And that's a possibility. Meaning that, well, if you were to choose a Tesla, that would make it for you because you are waiting for a Volkswagen to change your mind. Trusting a brand is good, but staying at that same brand can sometimes, well, impede you from new technological progresses or even new features that you might have on another car. Now, I know that people are very loyal. I mean, I'm a really loyal fangirl of Apple if we go in another technological direction, which means that I rarely move away from Apple. In most situations and cases, I've had a PC to play the HTC Vive, yes, virtual reality and things like that. Now, I went to Oculus and I went over there because, well, the Vision Pro is not the same as the Oculus, and the Oculus came before the actual Vision Pro. Meaning that if Apple would give me that, I would have gone with them. But since it wasn't available there, I kind of had to switch, buy a PC, and set it up for my HTC Vive. If you are one of these persons that is very loyal just like me, don't worry about it. It's all cool. You can stay loyal as much as you want. But just think about this. What are the features that you really want? What are they? Maybe it would be time to do a crazy list and see what you really want from a vehicle. Because new vehicles are coming out every single year. And, well, new features are coming out and new technologies, which makes it so mega awesome. To possibly, quite frankly, move to electric. Alright, let me refresh this. Bam! I did start a little poll on the YouTube because this is broadcasted live. Now, we have 2 votes on our poll, which is not that much, but we're working on it. Do you own an EV or hybrid? So 2 people are saying no, they do not. Well, thank you for tuning in. I guess that makes sense since the title of this is What Would Make You Buy an EV? I'm Piper, and I'm here on the podcast while you wait to charge your actual EV. We talk about things related to electric vehicles, give you information, and also, well, it's a place for people to share knowledge about the things that they love or have seen on Facebook, Instagram, X about electric vehicles and maybe even gasoline vehicles that would correlate. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. This is awesome. Now, well, let's say that you are one of these people that is super loyal. You're super loyal to a car brand. This is like you only want to stay with that one. Meaning that even though Fisker actually made electric vehicles, and then, well, you have other brands like Tesla who made electric vehicles. Those were all made by other brands. It's not like your actual Volkswagen that made an EV. But that is why it's getting pretty interesting in the EV world. Most of these big companies are now putting out some electric vehicles. Now, hybrids too. So that is to be mentioned. There's a difference between an IV, like fully electric vehicle, and a hybrid. Most hybrids, well, will actually have gasoline in them. So you can put gas in a hybrid, but you can't put gas in an electric vehicle. It's not possible. I mean, it only has a battery pack. It does not have any type of engine, motor, gasoline, piston, and all that. That being said, if you do love a brand like BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Hyundai, I mean, a few of them to name a few, you now have the option to get an EV or an hybrid from them, because these big car companies are going with the trends and they are developing electric vehicles, especially since some countries have dates. Yes, dates on which all new vehicles sold, like 100% of them, have to be electric. Like in Canada, that date is 2035. In 2035, 100% of new cars sold have to be EV cars. Is that EV hybrid or EV? That we'll see. I haven't studied the whole entire law document, but if ever you have, please drop a comment right now. It should be very, very interesting. Please note also that this podcast is recorded live, and we have a live schedule now. Yay! 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is Vancouver time. Now, I'll be recording these podcasts live on the YouTube channel at 11 a.m. every day. For the period being. So make sure you tune in at 11 a.m. if you want to drop by and while you wait to charge your EV, listen to it live. Or else you can also find them in the podcast playlist that is the same name. It has the same name. It's called While You Wait, the podcast playlist. Many episodes are there. Go check it out. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm Piper. And we are talking about what would make you buy an electric vehicle. I have some talking points here, and those are good talking points or good thinking points depending on how to convince you or how to convince myself. I'll tell you how I convinced myself to purchase an electric vehicle at the end of this podcast, but throughout the duration, we'll go through all of the little things that could maybe change your mind. Actually, just go try one maybe. So what if your car, like your BMW, would have an equivalent, an EV equivalent? Because most people don't want to sacrifice what they already have, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, you trust a company like BMW, so maybe you don't want to go to Tesla, or you don't want to go to Polestar, or you don't want to go to Lucid, or all of these solely electric car dealership and companies, because they haven't been around for as long. Of course, electric vehicles are newer. It makes sense that, well, they're newer companies. That being said, you can certainly get an electric vehicle for most of the big brands out there. So what is stopping you from doing that? What is stopping you from possibly, well, switching to an EV or an hybrid in your very own preferred brand? Yeah, that can definitely be doable. So tell me in a comment, what is stopping you? Do you have an EV? Why would you not just change your car this year for an EV, but of the same brand? I mean, I'm not telling you to go with Tesla, though I do have a Tesla Model X 2016. So I can say I'm a little bit biased on that point. Chris. Hello, Chris. Thank you for dropping in. We have Chris who says, charging infrastructure. All but Tesla are far behind in charge time and efficiency. That's a great point. We'll talk about it right now since you just dropped in. So the thing is, charging infrastructure, a lot of people are scared of purchasing an EV because charging infrastructures, because they're scared that they won't be able to actually fill it up in electricity near them, or that they will have range anxiety. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to work for them. But if you go with anybody else than Tesla as a model of a vehicle, like as a brand of vehicle, of course, you're going to have to go to the other charging stations. So there's a lot of private companies, depending on where you're at in the world. Sometimes governments do invest in charging infrastructure. So you need to look that out for your very own country. But the thing is, if you do purchase a Tesla, the charging infrastructures for Tesla are pretty intense. I mean, they're almost everywhere. They work very well. There's the handshake thing, which means that if you have a Tesla, since the Tesla charging station is native to your Tesla vehicle, it just goes super fast. You just plug it and it charges. There's no weird software mismatch. That's not going to happen. And Tesla has started opening their charging stations to other EVs. Yeah, not just Teslas. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Chris, for saying that. Also, Chris adds, only 70% of non-Tesla chargers in US are functional. Out of those, a small percentage work as advertised, and I know because I drove an EV from California to Florida. Whoa, if you don't know about geography, people, this is great. So California to Florida, that's from the West Coast to the East Coast, and that must be approximately, I guess, 4,000 kilometers, something like that. So in miles, maybe 2,000 miles, at least. I mean, I can Google it, but at least. So this is very interesting. And a lot of people are having this difficulty with electric vehicles that are non-Teslas, and that is with the charging infrastructure. So, 2,400 miles. That is from California to Florida. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, this is great. Meaning that if you do decide to switch to an electric vehicle, Tesla does have some better incentive. I mean, the security of having these superchargers all over North America, if you're from Canada or the US, if you're from any other country, well, just look at the Tesla supercharger map. And we're going to talk about this a bit later, but they do have the fastest speed of charging ever. Like their supercharging technologies is great beyond all of the other superchargers that I've seen so far. And that's what Elon Musk is saying too. So I think that makes a big difference in your choice of vehicles. Even though you might have some attachment to the brand that would be like BMW, Mercedes, let's say like Hyundai, Toyota, Honda. If you have an attachment to these brands and you do decide to go EV or hybrid with them, well, the only difference is, especially IV, is that, well, the infrastructure needs to be open from the Tesla. I would definitely go with a brand that made a deal or partnership with Tesla to be able to plug my EV in the Tesla superchargers, because so far that one is reliable. It is constantly growing in number and locations, and they are upgrading the technology. So that being said, it would be way better. All right. I'm Piper, and this is While You Wait, the podcast while you wait to charge your electric vehicles. We discuss about anything and everything related to electric vehicles and aim to entertain you while you are in your car waiting to charge. Dave Frank, hello, thank you for dropping by. We have Rob8618. I work in the oil field and spend most of my time out of town in a company truck. That is why, well, as Rob said, he does not feel the need to buy an EV right now because, well, he's not looking to buy. I mean, if everything is purchased by your actual company, like the company you work for, why would you go there? Why would you think about that? That makes sense. AKA Fumbler says, yeah, good luck with an EV up there. Okay, so that depends on where you work, of course. If you're very up north, well, the less people there are, the less charging infrastructure. Again, it's a proportion. So Tesla is implementing a lot of new charging stations every year, meaning that it's going to get there. There's going to be more and more, just like there's gas stations and churches everywhere in northern Canada, but they will be more later. Now, for these particular situations, you might need to really reconsider.
To bring people to church back, you need to install superchargers.
That's a good point. That's a good incentive. So so you go to church while you charge. So if churches did like McDonald's or some of these food restaurants and in their parking lot installed superchargers, or more like just regular chargers, you could, yeah, that would be a good incentive. Free charger between, yeah, free charging during mass. That's how you attract customers, people. That's how you attract customers. Please, the Pope, call us. Let's talk about this. We've got ideas to get you more money. Chris Pankish says took 55 hours total. 14 of those were dedicated to charge. Yeah, okay, so Chris went from California to Florida in an EV, and he says it was 2,400 miles and it took him 54 hours total. So that is including charging and, well, on the road, and 14 hours were dedicated to charging. So you see, that's how you need to think about it. Now, the thing is, these 14 hours dedicated to charging, there could have been in a gas car, you actually just going out, spreading your legs, going to the restaurant or something like that. Now, of course, the car actually tells you like where to stop, how long you need to stop for, and all of these things. In a Tesla, it does that. I don't know in the other models, but you tell me in the live comment section if that is your case and you have more information about this. We also have Electric Brian. Hello, Electric Brian. Thank you for tuning in. Fastest Tesla supercharger currently is 250 kilowatt. Others have 350 kilowatt and even 500 kilowatt, even though no cars can charge that fast. Now let's dive right into this, because we were talking about Tesla superchargers and their infrastructures. Actually, so there is a new Tesla supercharger. It's called the V4. So they have V1, V2, V3, and now V4. These ones are the fastest ever, the V4s. They're going to implement them in the United States soon. I'm not sure if they have already. But these V4 superchargers allow you to charge in like 10 minutes. Meaning that like it's going to be almost as fast as filling up your car. We are getting there. Like the technology is there already. It's just the time to implement it. And well, for people to actually go to these superchargers. Also, you need to have the battery capabilities and you need to have that type of car. Some hybrids you probably cannot plug in a supercharger. I mean, I don't know. So don't try this at home, people. Don't try this at home. It might get electrifying. So the V4s are coming, and the V4s will allow you to charge a lot faster. So I think that's a bit what Electric Brian is saying, that there are other superchargers there, but you need to keep in your head that you want your car to charge, not like, explode. And that would be the same if you put too much gas in your actual gas tank. AKA Fumbler says, the cold does not support EV well, correct? Okay, so it's not about the range and it's not about being up north. That is a problem with actually infrastructures and charging there. It is the cold. Now, I've seen this little documentary on CNBC, and it's on YouTube, so you can find it. And it's about Norway and how Norway has the most electric vehicles, like per habitant, I guess. Like they have most electric vehicles on the road in the whole entire planet. So this is good because Norway also has snow. Yeah, Norway has winter, like real winter. It gets to 19 Fahrenheit in the winter in Norway. And they are doing just great with their Teslas and their other EV models. You need to understand that, yes, batteries will deplete faster in cold climate. That is true. It's physics. There's no going around it. But if you do have a Tesla, my Model X does it. I don't know about the other brands of electric vehicles, but there is something that you can do with your Tesla. You can make sure that the cabin or the inside of the car stays at a set temperature. A bit like dog mode or camp mode, meaning that if it is not charged, yes, you will deplete the battery a little bit, but your car will stay warm, meaning that you don't need to worry about this. You'll deplete the battery a little bit, but it will be ready to drive and ready to recharge soon because you're going to be using this battery. There is a feature on the Teslas that is called preconditioning. Now, I don't know if other EVs have it, but the preconditioning, what it allows you to do is that it allows you to go to the supercharger and charge faster. Why? Because from what I grasp, the actual preconditioning, it warms up your battery. Yeah, it warms it up. So that's one of the part of the thing it does. The rest I don't know. But it warms it up so that it can actually accept all of this electricity faster. Now, if you have a gas car and it's winter, and it gets to minus 20 degrees Celsius, just like in Quebec and most places, well, most people are actually going to plug the battery overnight to make sure that it doesn't drain because it's too cold, or it does not restart because it's too cold. The same would apply with an EV. If you have a plug near you, all you have to do is just plug your EV during the nighttime. You set a set temperature for your EV to keep the cabin at that temperature, meaning that it's not going to be as cold, and well, you're good to go. I remember when I plugged my Chevy Volt back in Quebec in the winter. One time I plugged it. Okay, I shouldn't have done that though. I should this is the PSA people who don't do that. So I plugged it on a rallonge. What's a rallonge called? Like an extension cord. So I plugged the Chevy Volt with an extension cord, so it had this little special plug. So you have to have the special nozzle to put in your car, and then you plug that to normal 110 plug outlet. So I plugged it in there with the extension cord, and then when I came back in the morning, it was winter and all that, all of the snow near the extension had melted, and near the power, the cord to actually plug it in the Volt, it was all melted. So imagine the heat that just this cord this thing was emanating because of all this current going into it. So if you let it plugged in, it will create heat. I mean, it's charging, it's doing something, so there is heat there. Also, when I plugged my Tesla Model X 2016, and I do the supercharge and I do the preconditioning, it really does. Now you can't hear it that much, but from outside it's a bit worse. I'm guessing it's the fans, because it's trying to cool down the battery. It doesn't want the battery to get too hot, because what I've learned is that for my Tesla Model X 2016, it would be preferable if I only charge it to 80%. Why? Because the last 20%, that's when the battery gets really, really hot. And to minimize the hotness of the battery, the degradation, again, when something gets too hot, it kills stuff. Kinda. You get it? Super easy. Think about a volcano. Then, to minimize the degradation, you just need to always plug it to 80. That way the battery doesn't overheat. But the last 20%, it will overheat more. So that's why it takes longer to charge. So longer to fill up with this electricity. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'm Piper. Just like the brain of a cheetah. That's true. So if you didn't watch National Geographic recently, the brain of a cheetah is the same thing. So cheetahs can run really fast, but they can only run really fast for about 30 seconds. After that, their whole metabolisms overheats, so they need to take a break. And that's why not all antelopes are dead and eaten by cheetahs, because there is this kind of balance in the ecology of things, meaning that yes, your car will overheat just like the cheetah's brain, and then it needs to cool down to be able to accept more. Just like the cheetah, it needs to cool down and then it can run again, or else it will literally die. It will literally overheat, like heat stroke, and done. No more cheetahs.
That's why you see the gazelle, walking around and the cheetah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why after a cheetah runs for an antelope or something like that, after that, it's there, but you're like, why doesn't it eat the antelope? It's right next to it. Well, the cheetah can't run anymore. It can't do it. It knows it's gonna die. So the antelope's just there, haha, you missed your 30-second window. That's what happened. I'm Piper. This is While You Wait, the podcast you listen to while you wait for your electric vehicle to charge, or to purchase your very first electric vehicle, or to wait for your wife to be ready, because it's gonna be shorter or longer than this. Thank you. You can share this video /podcast by clicking the share arrow right underneath there. And then it can redirect you to Facebook, X, or even Reddit. Make sure you share it. Share the love. Okay. Perfect. Okay, correction. Erratum. We will start at noon now. Or 11:31. There's some people at 11:30 a.m. But noon from noon to So during your lunch break, from noon to 1:30 p.m., that is when the podcast is gonna be. I think because this podcast is recorded live, we're trying to figure out the best time to put it live so that more people can tune in. Now, I am located in Vancouver, British Columbia, meaning that is Canadian West Coast hour, so PST, Pacific Standard Time, when it's not daylight saving Pacific Standard Time. It's so complicated. But do not worry. Just activate your notifications for the channel and you will receive an email alert. Or if you have the app and you are on the app on your phone, we'll make sure that you activate the notifications for your YouTube on your phone, and you will just receive a notification telling you that I'm indeed live, so you can come and drop in and write the live. What? What would make you buy an EV? Now let's get back to the main subject of this podcast. What would make you buy an EV? Bam, 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 bam. Gas versus electricity. For some people, this is a really good incentive. The prices of gas are higher, maybe in your province, country, states, wherever, but the prices of electricity, especially if you're able to charge at home, are way lower, meaning that for the same vehicle price, you would be paying a lot less on the long term. So some people are actually thinking a bit more in the future when purchasing an electric vehicle than in the right here, right now, just the price of the vehicle. You need to think about these things because they do come up later, but if you think about them before, it is a bit more clever in that sense. Just like the Bitcoins. Same time but different, huh? Oh, just like the Bitcoins right now. So, that being said, Tesla has it down. That's from Chris Pankutch. Yes, Tesla does have it down. Tesla does have the infrastructure. It has pretty much everything you need right now. Electric Brian says all chargers state the top rate possible. I think what he means is that it is more expensive. Now that depends. So Tesla superchargers sometimes do charge you lower fees if there's less people using the grid right now, using electricity. But it's always going to be more expensive to charge at a Tesla supercharger than if you are able to charge at home, because different price range for businesses and things like that compared to personal use. Meaning that if you do have a garage, a power outlet near you that you can use near your home or at your maybe office, maybe you work somewhere where they do have an EV plug and it is free, then it would be great to look into that. Or you can also purchase a Tesla model 2016 and before, because electricity on them is free if they did not change the battery pack. So,
you can do Gorilla.
Or you can do it Gorilla. You can change the battery pack and still keep the free electricity, but you can't do that with Tesla. You need to go to somebody else. And well, I don't know. It just depends how crazy it is. Yeah, we will do that. We will do that because my battery is going to need to be changed at one point. So make sure that you subscribe to see that happen. Just need to find a mechanic. Are you a battery mechanic? Drop me a comment. Drop me a comment. Drop a comment.
Your battery and we don't pay electricity. Drop a comment.
Drop a comment. According to our poll that we are doing right now, and I just closed the poll because we're going to do another one. Do you own an electric vehicle or hybrid? We have 66% of our listeners/viewers who say they do not, meaning this is the great podcast for you. So perfect. Thank you for tuning in. We have here the charging time. We went over the charging time a little bit. It's in my notes, so I'll go back into it. Charging time is evolving a lot and fast. I mean, we were at charging times that were hours, and now we are at charging times that are minutes, meaning like 10 minutes for full charge. That's still a bit longer than to fill up your car, but quite frankly, we're getting close to the same amount of time filling up your electric vehicle than filling up a gas car. For the same amount of mileage. Of course, that's very important. You need to think proportions, people. You need to think proportions. Okay. Supercharging is the worst thing you can ever do to your EV. That is from Chris. He says you should only supercharge when absolutely necessary. It will degrade your battery faster. Well, it makes a lot of sense because you are pushing all of that electricity like into the car at faster speeds. Again, it's for usability. It's for if you really need it, if you need to supercharge, if you don't have access to a plug at home, well, then the only other access you will have is the infrastructures that are near you. And often those are a bit more on the supercharger side than on the 110 voltage side. Mm-hmm.
We're starting a new series.
But we are starting a new series that's going to be called Guerrilla Charging, where we're going to find all the places that you can charge at for free. And well, legally, that is debatable. It's going to happen. So make sure you subscribe and you tune in. Disclaimer, full disclaimer. If you do have the possibility, of course, to keep your electric car plugged at all times on the 110, then of course it's a good thing to do so. It's a good thing to do so, and to always have your electric vehicle be at, well, the percentage that it needs to be at. If you have an older model Tesla, usually they need to be at 80% for most daily things. If you have a newer model, usually they need to be stowed, or like they need to stay at 100% as much as possible. So just check which battery you have, and the car will tell you, like on the display screen, it will literally tell you the best percentage for either daily trips or to maintain it if you are leaving it in the garage for extended period of time, which can happen. Some people don't necessarily use their EVs all the time neither, because they work and they do other things. Do you use the Tesla infotainment system? Oh, the infotainment system. Yeah, so there is entertainment on the Tesla. There is internet. Yeah, you can play video games. Some people actually put video games on there. You have access to the internet. So YouTube, you have access to YouTube on your Tesla. If you are the proud owner of a Tesla, make sure that you bookmark this YouTube channel, because while you wait for your Tesla to charge, you can always listen to the podcast. Chris says he did have a Volt too. I mean, the Chevy Volt was an amazing vehicle. I really have to say it was an amazing vehicle. Range issues. Let's dive into range issues. What would make you buy an electric vehicle? Now, range anxiety is still a concern for most people who are thinking or not thinking of buying an EV. Quite frankly, as we just discussed, with these new infrastructures, these new superchargers, these V4 superchargers from Tesla who charge way faster, in approximately 10 minutes for a full charge on newer models, and well, you have pretty much the same issues as you would for a normal gas vehicle. We're getting very close to having the same range anxiety as a gas vehicle, meaning that sometimes when you are on highways in Canada and in the United States, it does tell you, next rest area in 80 miles or next gas station in 100 miles. So that's a bit the same thing. We're getting the same but different. I feel like if that is the only thing stopping you from buying an EV, it will not be a problem very, very soon. And it's almost not a problem right now for most cities and places you would naturally or normally commute to, even vacation. Again, if you're thinking of going in the Amazonie, well, that's a bit different. But who goes there with their electric vehicle anyways? It's true. You can always rent another car if you need it for one trip. Like if you're thinking of road tripping instead of taking the plane or things like that, you can always do that. Here, okay, Tesla released a new video on the Model 3 performance today. You can order one now. Yes, I did see that, Rob. At the time of the recording of this video, yeah, Tesla did release a new update, so it's gonna be faster, cheaper. I mean, everything you want in a car is gonna happen, and they've dropped prices, which is what we're gonna be talking about very, very soon. It's getting there. But thank you to everybody who is tuned in right now. You are dropping amazing comments, so I'm just gonna go read a few of them. What's not compatible with Apple? Tesla app and YouTube are compatible. So the thing is, yeah, exactly. You can always have CarPlay or like AirPlay or Bluetooth. I mean, even my Tesla Model X 2016 has Bluetooth enabled. So my phone is compatible with the Tesla Model X. Now, that being said, it does not have CarPlay, so it's a bit different. And so those features I do not have, but I can still take phone calls from the car. I can still put in all the audio from, let's say, using Waze on my cell phone to the Tesla. And there's another great thing about the Teslas is that when you input the place where you're going, the Tesla GPS tells you where to supercharge. So usually I'm going to use both in the same time. So I'll use Waze and I'll use the Tesla GPS to make sure that I actually stop to charge at the right time. But then with Waze, you know where the police is, you know if there's traffic. So I adapt it like that, meaning 2 GPS is better than 1, right? Oh yeah, definitely.
You're gonna end up with the police thing.
Definitely. I think that makes sense. And I don't know if Waze has this option, but it is true that it is easier to put like the Tesla app in Waze. No, contrary. To put Waze in the Tesla, then, well, I got lost there.
Okay, because the Tesla tells you where
Exactement.
Just
The Tesla
tells you where the police are.
Exactly.
So you can play a game. Yes, no.
Exactly.
So you can make a software update. And
So
that's Waze.
Tesla would just need to make a software update so that Tesla users, now that there's a lot more, could do like Waze. So we could have like Waze on our Teslas. That could be a possibility for a future upgrade for Teslas because you need the supercharger.
Putting the supercharger and tell you that
Yeah,
you need to do
yeah.
that while it doesn't know.
Yeah, because I have an app for that. I do have an app that is not the Tesla app. Let me get it right here right now and put you some music while you wait for me to get the app. This app is called ABRP. Now, this is an app that allows you to see all the superchargers all over. And it will do the same thing as Tesla. So it will input your route. It will tell you how much time you're going to be in the car, how much time you will charge, how long the charging is, and all of that. No, he doesn't know your battery condition or anything like that. You need to tell it to him in that sense. So that's a possibility. There are other apps that do it. If you look at a few YouTube videos, maybe we'll do one on that. But if you have an EV, usually your EVs are supposed to like help you with that. It would be the best, and I think that's why Tesla is amazing because it does that like natively in the Tesla. You don't need anything else. It's already there. You just input it, and then of course, well, it's a GPS, so it's not like Waze. It's not as extensive, but it works. It works, people. Okay, we have here. I'm reading the comment. You always think you need 400 miles of range, but then you're carrying around all that extra battery you never used. My 270 range, Model 3, so 270 miles range on his Model 3, that's Electric Brian who's talking, never been a problem. That's the thing. When you're considering purchasing, that's when you want all the features. Like you want the more you can have. And it makes a lot of sense. But realistically, after doing 270 miles, which is approximately 2 hours of being your booty sitting down in your car, you're probably going to want to get out anyways. You're probably going to want to see some scenery at some point. Or I mean, you're not a truck driver. You don't necessarily want to drive for 8 hours straight without stopping or as less as possible because you're making money and you're on the clock. We're talking about using this as a personal car. That being said, I mean, some people want that range because they need it. But realistically, do you really need that? Because the only time that I really need to use my full battery is when I'm going on road trips. Because if not, there's no way I need that. And I go on road trips for this channel. Yeah, that is why. That is the only reason why. So good point, Electric Brian. We have Chris Pancock who says, unless you have a separate app on your phone, like ABRP, that's the one I just talked about, you cannot plan charges on the road like Teslas. There's no preconditioning or route to charge next. That's why Tesla is so great in regards to the whole ecosystem of Tesla. Meaning you're in your car, it tells you where to charge, it gives you, of course, the Tesla superchargers, but all of that is already native in your Tesla. You don't need to add more things to it. It comes with. So if you're thinking about buying an EV, this is definitely something to consider. The nativeness of that. Super easy. So range issues are not really a thing, like we just discussed, but incentives are. Some people actually think that, well, EVs are not going as well as they would because, well, there's not enough incentives. I mean, there was a few tax or government incentives, meaning you would pay a little bit less. Like in Norway, they took off the taxes on the electric vehicles, meaning that was a 25% tax, and they took it off. So that makes it a lot cheaper to buy an electric vehicle than some gas vehicles. That's a good one. That's a really good one. And other implementations have been made in, we're talking about Norway because that's where there are like the most electric cars in like the whole entire world right now at the time of recording this podcast. So they did have incentives like having the HOV lines and bus lines accessible to EVs, meaning that you could drive in bus lines if you had an electric vehicle. Pretty cool, right? You did not pay tolls on tolled routes or bridges. So that's something else to think about. You don't pay that, which is pretty cool. Then also they had free parking. In some places you could park for free if you had an EV. And we know how it is to park in city centers. Sometimes it gets very expensive for not a lot of time, and also it can be hard to find parking. So by having all of these incentives, the people of Norway really did purchase more electric vehicles. Now I don't know what they're doing in your country of residence, but maybe they need to do that.
Norway, the gas people are super active right now. All the parking spots.
The gas people?
Yeah, the gas people.
Oh, because all the EVs are parking in the free parking. Definitely that. Plus, well, they did add a lot of electric charging stations. Now, you need to understand that if you put charging stations are a bit like parking spots. Okay, it is getting faster, but I mean, when you go to fill your car with gasoline, usually you're not parked there for very long. You will fill up and move, and now you can pay at the pump. So you don't necessarily need to go inside. You just like move through. So it moves through very fast. Whereas electric vehicles and Tesla superchargers and other superchargers, you're usually going to need to park there for a little bit. That is why this podcast is called While You Wait to Charge Your Electric Vehicle with Piper. We aim to entertain and inform you about everything electric vehicle related. The name of this podcast is What would make you buy an electric vehicle? What would make you do the switch? So tell me what would. Tell me what would in a comment. I am waiting for all of these amazing comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. That being said, if we did have all of these incentives and we did have all of these parking spots, well, maybe some people would be like, oh yeah, where I commute, where I go to work, with having an EV, it would be easier. So I'm going to choose an EV because it's just more accessible for me to do so. It will allow me to park for free. It would allow me to actually like go to the toll bridge that I pass to every single day for free. So these are small things. Now, in Norway, since right now most of the people have electric vehicles, well, they are starting to change the laws and not put these things for free anymore because there are more people that own electric vehicles than non-electric vehicles right now, which makes a lot of sense. That being said, would it be an incentive for you? Would you actually jump in just for these little savings? Like there, here. We have here Chris who says ABRP, that's an app that allows you to see choose superchargers and will input your destination so that you know how long you're going to need to charge for, where are the chargers. So it does a bit exactly what the Tesla will do if you are in your car and you input your A to B point. Same. Tells you when to stop, where to stop, how long to stop for to recharge. Is the only way I made it to California. Okay, from California to Florida. It saved the trip and we never would have made it without it. So Chris actually used ABRP. That's the app that does a bit the same thing as Tesla, to be able to do his big trip from California to Florida. I think you really need an app. We're not yet at that point where on the highway, if you do choose to take the highway, it's not as bad, but where you see like, oh yeah, EV charging there. But every time you do see a gas station on the highway, doesn't mean there's going to be an EV charging station. And you can actually fill up less. So spend less time at the charging station because it knows that there's another one there. So all that your car is thinking about, yes, they do think, is is how to get to the other point. Now, if it doesn't need 100%, it's not going to ask you for 100%. So you won't stay at that charging station for maybe the 1 hour and 45 minutes it would take to go from 6% to 100%. Maybe it's just going to ask you for 20% battery to get to the other one, and then that is gonna so it has all of this logistics to it and all of this data, meaning that it's the best idea to have it calculate for you. Now that these apps calculate it for you, you don't need to be there and be like, oh my god, I don't have battery anymore, or oh my god, I'm gonna be like range anxiety. Because it is true that with an electric vehicle, someone cannot just bring you a jerry can. This is not how it works, unfortunately. You need a battery pack, and when the battery goes down to 0, usually you need to kind of boost it, and you need to call Tesla to do that. So, that being said, make sure you never go under the 0% battery, which is not possible because 0, but you get it. And well, by having these applications, you will never get to 0. I never got to 0. I got close, but never got to 0 because the Tesla tells me where to charge, how to charge. So there's no problem. It's a no-brainer. The car does it for you. You don't even need to think about this. Super easy. In the comment section, some people did mention that yes, Tesla is bringing in the new Model 3 for cheaper, more range, and faster. Like faster, more speed. For those of you who do like speed. Speed racer. They are cutting the prices of some of their EV models. Well, they only have EV models, Tesla, so let's get into it. That means that it's going to be more accessible for more people. If the price was a problem for you, well, with these cuts, I mean, they're trying to get a wider market. They're trying to make a model that would be cheaper for more people to be able to buy it. The Model 3 was that. Like the very first Model 3 was cheaper than the other models to make it so that, well, some families maybe could think about purchasing it, whereas before it was too expensive. It was just too expensive for most people. Now that you know this, that the prices are going down, well, there's another thing that kind of goes with that, is that, of course, if all electric vehicles would be cheaper than gasoline vehicles, we would see a drastic change. I mean, it would be a no-brainer. Again, it would just, people would buy them because it's cheaper. They wouldn't even care. I mean, if it's cheap, it's like free money, People are just going to buy them. However, it is not yet cheaper than most gas cars. That's why, well, you need to think about it. And some people need to think about it and weigh the pros and cons. And all of these after-purchase costs need to be taken into consideration when buying an EV, because it's maybe not cheaper than the gas car you would have for the same amount of price. But do think about that. Hit the microphone. If the gas where you are is a lot more expensive than electricity, and if you can plug at home, and all of these things means that you will be saving money on the long term. Maybe not right when you drive it off the lot at the dealership, but on the long term, it will cost you less. So those are things you need to think about when purchasing an EV right now. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be like that forever, because we are seeing a lot more companies doing only electric, like Polestar, Lucid, BYD. I mean, there's of course Tesla that's still in the race, and probably other ones, like other brands, these older car brands like Ford, Hyundai, that are bringing in electric vehicles in their brand. They are rolling more models for cheaper too. Again, that's for EV. There is also the hybrids. The hybrids tend to be a bit cheaper. than the EVs. Well, okay, that depends, of course, that depends. I mean, if you buy a BMW, I think it's a 750, that's a hybrid, but that's like a luxury car. So, of course, it's gonna be more expensive, right? China. Yeah, let's talk about China. Are you ready for this? So BYD, build your dreams. These are cars that are available in some countries in Europe, and well, of course, China and Asia. Not yet very much here in Canada and the United States of America, because I'm Piper and I'm broadcasting live from Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. You are listening to While You Wait, the podcast that entertains you and informs you while you wait for your electric vehicle to charge at a superstation, a supercharger, or at home. Doesn't matter. As long as you're waiting for it to charge, you've got something to do now. Yes, you don't need to be alone and watch your phone and your screen. You can actually get entertained and informed with our amazing community of EV people and, well, just EV enthusiasts or people that want to learn more about electric vehicles in general. Now, we have a date. Great. This podcast will be recorded live at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time from 11:30 p.m. every single day. For now. Stay tuned. Make sure you open your notifications and you say yes to every one of them so that you're able to catch me when I am actually live and we can interact in the live comment section on YouTube, because after that, the podcast does go into a playlist that you can listen to whenever, wherever you want. On your phone, on your car, it doesn't matter, in the shower, it's going to be there to stay there forever. So thank you to all of our amazing supporters. Thank you to our Patreons who are making this podcast possible and all of our other amazing videos that you can find on this channel. All right, so let's talk about China and these Chinese vehicles. So China is really good at mass production, I think, from what I see so far. And they're really good at, like, prices, meaning their prices are lower. With such companies coming into the market, they will be lower and cheaper EVs. It's coming. It's really coming. But because they're gonna spy on you, so either they take your data, they make money with it, or if you're not the product, you are the service. That is why Huawei is not really coming into Canada. But that's a subject for another time. Okay, so all of these Chinese vehicles, yes, they are cheaper. Yes, they are technologically advanced too. I mean, they're looking at ways to make an electric vehicle that would cost them a lot less to make and what would be more rapidly accessible. So if they pay less, you pay less, and everybody's happy, and then they can mass produce it, so make a lot more. Just like Tesla. Tesla had this big thing of creating their very own manufacturers, like their very own industries. So they made everything so that it can make everything. Like most of the percentage of the car is made by Tesla. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's close to 62%. The thing with BYD is that they make closer to 80% of the parts of their car, meaning they're even more independent and they don't need to outsource or get products or things that they put in the car from other industries. The more self-sufficient you are in building a vehicle or building a company or anything, the faster you can grow and the faster you can go. So that is a thing to remember with China. Now, some people are saying that because these cars are built faster, cheaper, it will be harder to change the battery pack in them. Like if there is an issue with them, the way it's built, it's kind of harder to access and harder to switch. This information still needs to be verified because I'm not a battery chemist or a mechanical engineer of any sort. I'm just Piper, your awesome YouTuber that entertains you on EVs because I have a Tesla Model X and I love to go on road trips and
There's a bit of fight in the comment section.
yeah, there's a bit of fight. Okay, let's get to the fight. Let's get to that fighting. All right. Okay, where are we at? Battery life is the problem. EVs become garbage like old cell phones. That's from Douglas Dauntless. Chris says battery life is not a problem. Misinformation. The batteries have some cases 80,000 10-year warranty. Okay. Most Tesla last over 300,000 miles. Yeah, that's about like 500,000 kilometers.
lasts forever.
Nothing lasts forever. Even the IKEA chair that you can see in display in IKEA, I mean, it's been there for a while, but it's gonna die at one point. It's called engineering. The engineers, when they make a product, they know the durability of this product. So we can try to make things to last longer, but in the end, it's gonna cost you more. So it's a balance. It's the balance. Chris Panchik says, your cell phone still works when the battery drops to 80% life. You toss it and get a new one, but why the phone still works? Well, that's probably why Apple is recycling most of the components from your older phone to actually make newer phones with it. Because yes, most components are still good. Maybe not the battery, but we will find a way to recycle or recuperate parts of the lithium batteries in the future for sure, to get a battery that is better for the environment and all these things, because that's really what we're aiming for the world right now, right? Warranty expires, car is gone in my house. Okay, so Chris says that for him it's more about the warranty. I've heard people do that, you know, either they they lease a car, or they get it until the warranty expires, and as soon as it expires they switch it. That way they're fully covered. It's a type of insurance that some people like to keep. Others like to actually buy the car and just, like, you know, to not use the R word, but really give it to it until it dies with them. That's another philosophy. I mean, everybody has a different sense of security according to their vehicle and how they want to use it in everyday life. They will never let Chinese car in USA. Well, that is very interesting. So that is what Elon Musk is saying. That is what some people are saying. Is that Biden is saying that no, they don't want to let them in. It would create more concurrence. Well, spying for sure. The spying is an issue because all these cars are very software, so they do collect data and things like that. But also the thing is that, well, for all the American brands that are already there, well, there would be more competition from a Chinese car, meaning that maybe some of that American money would be diluted into foreign money. So all of that money that is by BYD would go to China instead of staying in America. In that sense, that's another, I guess, economical, political. And yeah, facial recognition. With all of these newer EVs, the thing is, they kind of self-drive. Now, when I say self-drive, I don't mean like go to bed in your car. No, but they have all of these capabilities. So all of these super, super advanced, like camera systems, geolocalization systems, sometimes satellite connected, whatever. They have all of that on there. So China would have all of this information. I mean, and we already have issues with TikTok and that happening. So maybe it's a good thing that we don't go there, you know? To the balloons, right? The balloons. They'll float down here. If they do, they will be terrified all to hell, okay? You mean like the Chinese car? Yes, so that money could stay maybe in the US. And again, we're talking money, but we're also talking data. We're talking privacy issues. We're talking, security concerns due to privacy issues and all that stuff. We're talking about spying. Douglas Dauntless says, rechargeable batteries die. Yes, they do. Everything dies. You die. I mean, it's not complicated. They will die. That's not the problem. A mechanical actual engine will die as well. Like, everything will die. Of course, at the beginning, when they started making these battery packs, it did cost a lot of money to make, and it was not that green, okay? Like anything that is new, it wasn't the greenest thing. So yes, it would emit CO2. Yes, it would maybe be less good for the environment than an ICE, an actual mechanical motor. But that being said, we need to give time to all of these super clever people to actually do their jobs and make it so that we can get the same numbers with an electric vehicle that we can do with a gasoline vehicle. There's still really good things about electric vehicles, that like the fact that there would be less pollution, like noise pollution, a lot less noise pollution, a lot less just pollution in general, because no CO2 emanations, meaning that in the city you would breathe cleaner air. Just that. So noise, cleaner air. For everything else, well, it is a technology piece. EVs are very technologically advanced. So it's a bit of a different thing. If you're a geek, if you like tech, that must be an incentive for you. We're talking about what would make you buy an electric vehicle. If you don't have one already, then what would make you change your mind? What would make it so that you would actually think about trying, test driving, or putting in the cars that you might want to own an EV in there? So go ahead and tell us in the live comment section. Yeah. Now, we still have some anger in the live comment sections, which is very interesting. Douglas Dauntless says, all of my cars are over 10 years old. None have had the engine replaced. Well, thank you, Douglas. So, okay, now it's getting...
Did you change your oil?
Well, yeah, did you change your oil? I hope you did. So my Tesla... No, you need to change your oil. Again, with any car, you're going to need to do maintenance. You're going to need to change things on the car. It's the whole philosophical theory of the boat. If you change pieces of the boat, then after 100 years, is it the same boat? Because you changed all the pieces of the boat, but you kind of kept the concept of the same boat. Same thing. For a car, any car. I mean, any car. Here, bam, bam, bam. So that being said, there's no... What do I have here? Okay, yes. EVs. So would you buy EV? The thing is, like Chris is debating with Douglas in the live comment section, nothing lasts forever. Now, the batteries don't last as long yet. I mean, supercharger, not... You need to understand that, like, my Tesla Model X 2016 is a 2016. We're in 2024 at the time of recording this video. So there are Teslas that are actually 2014 Teslas. There are. I mean, 2012, I think, is the first, like, Tesla Model S. So we're not talking about the Roadster and all of that. We're talking about when it became a bit more widely available. That being said, the first Fords were probably, like, dying very soon too, like the Model T. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's a big possibility that they arranged it so that now they can last longer because we have over 100 years of expertise with cars that have ice, like ice cars. Whereas with electric vehicles, yes, there is electric vehicles technology in, like, the Formula 1 cars. We've had electric vehicles for a while in life, but never as a mainstream car, never like in the mainstream for all these people to use, which means that, yeah, we still have ways to go to make it carbon footprint neutral, to make it so that maybe we can reuse more easily some of the parts, recycle, reuse, or just make sure that it doesn't pollute as much. This is all gonna happen. It doesn't mean that you should not invest or not think about an EV. It's a new technology. Of course it is. So all of these little problems that happen with new technologies, well, they need early adopters. They need people who believe that this is the future to early adopt that product or that technology so that it can grow and evolve and it can have a chance to become the new normal. So yes, there is, like, confronting ideas between Douglas and Chris, meaning that, of course, older vehicles you could switch up, but that doesn't mean you won't be able to do that with an actual electric vehicle. They're taking cars like a Porsche 912 and putting a battery inside of it. So, I mean, that being said, the actual motor's not there anymore. They put a battery pack in the Porsche. And now, is it still a Porsche 912? Well, yes and no. I mean, Porsche did not make that one like that. It was an older model, and they swapped the battery. That's somebody from our Patreon community who showed me this video where this guy on his YouTube channel, he just, like, swaps engines for batteries. Super awesome. Yeah. Okay. Some people maybe don't want to buy an EV just because it's not different enough. Well, Tesla was a bit different. I have to say Tesla was a bit different. Like, the Fisker was a bit different. It was something new, something that had a different style to it. But again, Teslas kind of all look the same, except for the Cybertruck. Meaning that some people might have decided to not buy an electric vehicle because it doesn't stand out enough. Now, the E3 i3 from BMW does definitely stand out enough. Now, I don't know if you want to stand out like that.
It's not good looking.
But not good looking, not good looking. They tried to kind of have this futuristic vibe to the EVs, and it worked for some, it didn't work for other ones. I feel like the new is it the new Prius? The new Prius has something. They went a bit more sporty, more like Honda, yeah, more sporty. It does have something. Now, some people might change just for the look, and I think that's where the Cybertruck really, really is doing something amazing. And it's been like there for what, 3-4 years that we've been waiting for the Cybertruck. Now some people actually have it in their possession. That being said, some people want a special car. Some people want a Ferrari because they want to be recognized in the streets. So having or owning a Cybertruck would mean that you would be recognized in the street even more than a Ferrari right now, because there are so little Cybertrucks. There's only under 4,000 Cybertrucks in circulation right now on all of planet Earth. That is a very rare vehicle to own, people.
And that means that other brands will be more like intends to do like crazy stuff.
Exactly.
To break the pattern of.
It's like fashion. It's like fashion. So you just need one brand to go a little bit over edge and crazy for all the other ones to be like, oh, we can risk more. And some brands did risk in the past. Maybe it was just not right time, right place, right moment. But the Cybertruck's really doing it. And that being said, you cannot buy anything that looks like a Cybertruck. It does not exist. Even the Rivian is different. But is it that different?
No, it's not that.
It looks like a Land Rover a little bit, or a Range Rover. I'm not saying it's the same. It's just, it has this kind of style. Now, if you look at Tesla, Model X, S, Y, they or 3, they all look a bit the same. Like, a bit the same. And, well, they're recognizable, but they don't stick out as much from all other vehicles that you would see in the streets. They just don't. A Ferrari, a McLaren, that's going to stick out more. Even maybe like a Mercedes Maybach can kind of give you the effect.
Even some people cannot recognize the difference between Ferrari and Lamborghini.
That's true.
When it
That's
passes
true.
fast, so you're not sure.
Yeah, you're not sure if it's a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. When it passed really fast, and that's true. The Cybertruck, there's no mistake in it. I mean, that's what it is. That it's like a bug. You know, like the Volkswagen Bug. There's no way you misread that. There's no way. There's no other car that looks like the Bug, or ever will there be. Now, this makes it very, very appealing for some people who are looking for something different, because they're looking at all the other vehicles and it's just same. Yeah, you can get a sports kit. Yeah, you can get like a few more features. But a Porsche is a Porsche. And then, well, the BMW offers you kind of the same thing. So you can have the Mercedes little truck that looks a bit more like a Jeep. And then you can have a Jeep that looks a bit more like a Land Rover. But they're all kind of mix and matching right now. Like all of these brands that were really solidly only one thing, all do sedans now too. And all do SUVs now too. You can have an SUV from Lambo. McLaren has an SUV. I mean, this is what we're going to. So, what is happening?
Douglas, stay with us.
Well, don't fight like that. This is open discussion. But Douglas, I mean, okay, oil equal Tesla battery. What we got here? No, the oil and ice burns and has to be dumped every year. Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point for electric Brian. So meaning that you need to, of course, change your lithium battery on your electric vehicle, but all the oil that a car needs to use, like all of these fluids that are only for, we're going to say, ice, so these mechanical cars that take gasoline, well, all these liquids, yes, need to be properly disposed of, much like a battery. This is a good point. This is a good point. Brian, my oil costs is $35 a year. How much I do in battery, I'm guessing. Of course, that's a whole different story. A battery versus a whole entire like oil. Battery versus oil is not you can't compare the two. You can't compare the oil. Yeah, you need to put the transmission. You need to put
The muffler.
the muffler. Yeah, all of these other things that an electric vehicle does not have. Like all of that. Chris says $5 charge my Tesla for a month with 1,000 miles. That's from Electric Brian, because Electric Brian does have a Tesla.
I think he doesn't drive much.
More fighting in the live comment section. Okay, Google disagrees with your charging estimates. Well, okay, that depends. You need to be careful because prices everywhere are different. So if the prices of your electricity, I mean, it's so different. We did a podcast on that the other day, like the cost of gasoline versus electricity for EV. Why would you switch to an EV if for gas prices? And it was so different. Some people were spending like $5 per gallon, and other people were actually spending closer to like $2 a gallon almost. So that's for gas, but for electricity, a bit the same thing. Some countries have really high electricity price and others not. So you need to see everything, but you also need to adapt it to your very own situation, the place where you live. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so Douglas takes very good care of all of his cars, meaning he never needs to change anything, so it doesn't cost him anything for some reason. That's possible. We need, yeah. Okay. That being said, what would make you buy an electric vehicle? For some people.
Stop this. What would it be?
Oh, that's a good point. Douglas, tell us, what would make you buy an electric vehicle? Because so far you're like not buying an electric vehicle from what I'm reading. So what would make you buy an EV? Like what would it be? Like, because if EVs are able to convince you, then everybody's gonna buy an EV. I mean, you're like the last resistance. This is what Douglas is right now. Never had to change my transmission or muffler or engine, just oil and brakes. Well, brakes is normal. Brakes is like that on an electric vehicle too. I mean, you need to brake. There is something to be said about, well, the way the recharge works. So when the car brakes, or there's a different motor on electric vehicles for the braking and the
electric vehicle better on brakes.
Yeah.
Than the brake,
Yeah, that would be a good question.
So you don't
Yeah,
push the brakes.
exactly. Yeah. So I feel like possibly the electric vehicles are better on brakes, because if you put your regeneration, so when you take your foot off of the gas pedal, it starts to regenerate the battery. So it brakes for you. It brakes for you a little bit. It kind of it takes up the energy. It takes up that energy, which it wouldn't if you had a motor vehicle. Now Douglas Dauntless says, I'd buy a flying EV,
Okay,
but that's not a car. That's not a car.
Okay, so this guy will buy an EV if it's a flying car.
Yeah, if it's a flying car.
Elon, call us.
Elon Musk, what is your plan for a flying car in the future? Because Douglas will do that. Yeah, but Douglas, that doesn't make any sense. It's not a car. It's flying. It's like, oh, I would never buy a boat, but I would buy a plane. Yeah, this is not the same vehicle. It's not the same transportation method. Okay, so I'd buy a flying EV, and then also if there is a huge change in battery tech, I'd buy one. Okay, what do you mean? What do you mean a big change in battery tech? Are you against the fact that it's polluting, or are you against the fact that batteries are too heavy? Why the battery is such a big issue for you, Douglas? Please tell us in the live comment section. We have Chris Pankuch, who says 65,000 miles, original brakes, 60% in the front and 90% back left.
But what does it compare to a motor car?
I don't know, but that's what Chris has a Tesla. That's why he's saying this.
Yeah.
So this is good. So original 65,000 kilometers on the original brakes. Now in the front they're at 60%, and in the back 90%. Interesting.
65 miles on a motor car.
What would be the equivalent?
Yeah.
What would be the equivalent? Chris Houston says, when does Musk's infomercial end? Well, it never ends. Never ends. Because I own a Tesla, so of course I'm going to talk about Teslas. And quite frankly, the guy built the infrastructure. He built a full ecosystem. So Rivian, call us. Yeah, Rivian, give us a call. I will try other EVs on this channel. We will touch about to all EVs and all of that, so far, my experiences have been with my Tesla Model X and my Chevrolet Volt, which was not an EV per se, yes, but no. You could put gas into it, but it's not an hybrid either. It's a bit of a complicated scheme, that one.
With the Volt, you run on gas until you arrive home and you plug it.
Exactly. It's more like an hybrid. It's more like an hybrid. No. Infrastructures. No, with the Volt, we would use a few infrastructures, like to of course plug it, but not really because there's gas in it. So if ever you go too far, you're just gonna plug it. And that was like, 7 years ago. Now, charging speed is a huge issue for me, as well as the lifetime of the battery. So for Douglas, the charging speed that is 10 minutes right now with V4s, which will be in the US very soon. So in a very, very short time, probably this year, you will be able to charge your electric vehicle within 10 minutes, like to full range, if you buy one of the newer ones. And then the lifetime of the battery. Well, the lifetime of a battery right now, yes, depending on the model of your Tesla, mine, the lifetime has been set to, again, that's the warranty, not the lifetime. Like the warranty of the battery is at 161 kilometers. So 161,000 kilometers. That's the lifetime of the warranty of my battery. Then that doesn't mean the battery is gonna stop or break before that or after that. Like it will at one point, but that's just the warranty on it. Now, Chris Pankoch says, owned a Volt, a Model 3, and a Hyundai Kona, which I currently own. Okay, so Chris has a Hyundai Kona right now. He did have a Model 3 in the past and the Chevy Volt. That's very interesting. Now, some people that are saying, like, what would make you buy an EV? For some people, they would buy an EV just for the technology. Yeah, we do. Where are our geeks at? And our dorks at? I mean, it's the same thing why in Silicon Valley people bought Priuses. There's a good point there where if you are a bit geeky or if you like to be on top of all newer technologies within the realms of your means, because of course, like the higher you go, if you go to McLaren, you will be like top technologies. These guys have engineers that they get from MIT. I don't know, I'm just saying that. But quite frankly, that's a thing. So, the technologies of all these EVs, well, makes for some people, it's a good buying choice. I was a bit into technologies and these things like that. And for me, buying an EV just made more sense for my personal brand. Now, of course, I had a Mercedes. I had a Chevy Volt. I mean, but some people just want to be the early adopters. Some people just want to own an EV because it is still, frankly, quite new, especially in Canada and the United States of America. If you're in Norway, well, it's not that new anymore since 80% of people are driving one. But if you are one of these people who likes technology and likes to be on top of everything, well, new, this is definitely a vehicle for you. This should definitely weigh in the balance of, well, why you would purchase an EV instead of a gas vehicle. Now, that doesn't mean that gas vehicles don't have softwares now too and don't have self-driving capabilities and features and that they're not updated to the latest software technologies and all these things. Yes, they are. But the EV mentality really goes within that, like really like encumbers all of that in. And I think that is why, if you're a dork or a geek, the EV is definitely a possibility just because of that. You don't even think about the range. You don't even think about all these other things. You just want to be an early adopter. You want to be one of the first ones who had one, like the people who just got the Cybertruck now. Oh, forgot my live chapters. Don't worry, do it later. EV tech is awesome. The power HP torque is top notch. Just waiting on battery developments. So Douglas, for him, it's more about not being an early adopter and waiting for this technology to kind of have had made their proof in the world. And I think this is a rational decision for some people. Some people don't want to be the ones to test it first. Some people want to see other people test it before them, and then they'll embark when they feel like there's enough data on the newest technologies and things like that. So that's okay. There's no problem with that. Again, we need all of these people to create the world, meaning that if nobody early adopts, well, we won't get any new products because new products cost a lot of money to create. So we need these people who are willing to pay a lot more for something that is unfortunately a lot less than what you would have with a gas vehicle. And when they do that, well, they can then roll out cheaper models. And the best example of that would be the Roadster for Tesla, then the Model S, then the Model Y, the Model X, XY, I don't remember if the X came before Y, and the Model 3. So the Model 3 came because all of these more high-end models were there before. There's other ways to do it. Like we talked about BYD. BYD is doing it completely differently. So you can like build a business in different ways. You can either, well, take a really, really, really like big product and make it like a luxury product first so that you get your early adopters, you get your data, and then roll out cheaper models, or you can just roll out cheap models right at the beginning and then build an exclusive, more luxurious model. People do it however they want. I think like Elon Musk did kind of say that that was more of his thing, like the luxury early adopter and then opening it up for more people, and BYD is doing less luxury and more opening it to everybody first. Again, you need to have like money for that. Like money and a lot of possibilities. Whereas here, yeah. What? Okay. So the thing is, Douglas Downless says, I have an M3, so I'm not that much slower than EVs.
Okay, because it's a BMW M3.
Yeah, so yeah, so not much slower regarding to what tech, to speed, right? The speed. Again, some people do buy EVs because of torque, instant torque, and well, rapidity and all of that. But it's not the main reason. I mean, if you really want speed, like of course these gas motors are a thing. Like they're a thing. Now I'm not saying that you will beat all of them.
Oh, the Formula One got the more electric motor.
Oh yeah. So I was watching Marcus Brownlee's video on hybrids because he was saying that he thinks that hybrids are more, not the future, but are more the present solution, that we will get to EVs later. We would get to like a whole bunch of electric vehicles solely, but right now hybrids would kind of have a space. I have to disagree with that. I don't think that hybrids are the best option because I think EVs are going so fast that in the time it takes to make a space for hybrids, people are just gonna have EVs. But that's my point. Though one thing he did mention in the video that I had no idea, and I found this very interesting. So this is a little bit of a did you know? That Formula Ones actually have an electric motor in them. Yeah. The F1 cars. Yes, the ones that they put gasoline in and that you see like at the Grand Prix and all of that. And it's like that because they can go faster with instant torque. So it's a combination of a battery and, well, the actual motor. So there's both. And this would be more of a hybrid type of situation, but you can't recharge the Formula One. They're not rechargeable. It's not how they work. It's just for the torque. So actually the gas motor kind of recharges the battery, and then when the battery recharges, bam, No, it's not a volt. It's not like that at all. It's a sort of an hybrid, but again, you can't charge the battery. You can't. It's charged itself with a gas motor. Because the thing is, when you're a Formula One or like NASCAR, or, well, not NASCAR necessarily, but more if you go on a racetrack that has lots of turns and edges and things like that, this is all very good, but you're going to need to go fast and slow and fast and slow. So you're always regenerating and, well, taking all that energy. Regenerating, taking all that energy, meaning that that's a cool thing. That's like a really cool thing. Okay. Yes, you can go try an EV. I have a link right in the video description down there to take. Yeah, thank you, Brian, very much. You can go schedule a demo drive with Tesla, and it's free. But by using our referral link that is right down there in the video description, you're actually helping us get points. And with these points, we can go visit like a Tesla factory and show you all of that in future videos. Now, that will also allow us to do a lot more things that Tesla will come up with. So thank you very much to everybody who uses the referral link. If you want to buy merch from Tesla, same thing if you want to buy an actual Tesla car or a Cybertruck, use our link.
For us, for Gigafactory.
Oh yeah. It's like an Indiegogo for us to go see the factory, the Tesla factory. So all of these referrals gives me points, and it also gives you like some little credits and things like that. So use the referral, whatever you want to buy from Tesla, even just download the app. Like do it right now. This is gonna give me points. And this is gonna be awesome for us to do more. Also have a Patreon. What? Yeah. Patreon that has the same name of the channel. Please go subscribe to it. It is free. And then you can add on the paid membership to Patreon to see exclusive behind the scenes and a lot more things going on our Patreon. I'm Piper. This is the podcast While You Wait to Charge Your Electric Vehicles, where we entertain and inform you about everything and anything related to electric vehicles. This podcast will now be broadcasted live at 12 p.m. Pacific time. It lasts 1 hour and a half. So if ever your lunch hour happens to be at the same time as mine, make sure that you tune in. Also, if you have friends who owns EV vehicles or are thinking about making the switch, this is a great time to share this link with them. The podcasts are always available on our YouTube channel and they will stay there. Make sure that you tune in whenever you want, however you want, because they're there. So you can go to bed with them or you can share them with a friend. Thank you so much to everybody for being there. If you have more ideas for more podcasts, just drop it in a comment. We read all of them. All right, that's enough for now. Oh yeah, so electrifying. Oh yeah, the hydrogen thing. We're gonna need to talk about the hydrogen thing at one point. But electric, hydrogen, very different technologies.